welcome to today's show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Burgess, passionate, inspirational speaker, author, poet, and entrepreneur. Good morning, and welcome to Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. Today is Wednesday, September 12th. Hey, I want to give a great big thank you and shout out to all of you listening in today, all around the world. I'm delighted and so grateful that you tuned in. Now, I hope you're enjoying a fabulous day today and that you're having a fantastic week, because you know what? In the grand song of the universe, life is very, very precious and very short. Sweet and precious and short. So I hope you're making a difference in your own life, because when you do, you also make a difference in someone else's life. You know what? A lot of folks really want to make their life count for something, but they don't know how, or it just seems so big and overwhelming, they don't know how or where to begin. So they ask me, Dr. Gloria, how do you do that? How do you make your life count? Well, let me tell you something. It's really very simple, very simple. You make your life count day by day, step by step, moment by moment, every single day, 365, 24/7. You make your life count by being there for someone who needs the precious gift of your presence. And that doesn't cost you a dime, does it? You just need to be who you are and be present for someone else. By being genuinely who you are, by your kindness and gracious spirit, and by the small yet wonderful things you do for someone, that's how you make your life count. You can also make your life count by being an encourager, being an uplifter, by taking a walk with someone you love, by baking them some cookies maybe, or bread, or supporting your children with their homework, or changing your plans on a dime when a friend comes to town, and you take the time to make them feel like they're the only person in your life for those precious few hours or days. Or maybe you do some chores that your spouse would normally take care of. Hey, you're going to make somebody happy. Or by being in your garden, maybe you have a garden on your deck or in your yard, and picking a handful of beautiful flowers to make a bouquet for your mom or your dad or your neighbor. Not because it's their birthday. You simply pick those beautiful flowers for that special person in your life just because. Or maybe you share a bucket of berries or a basket of tomatoes with your friend, right? Or maybe you call your mom when you're not stuck in traffic, right? I'm talking to myself now. And you tell her, I love you, Mom. I don't have any other reason to call except I just wanted to hear the sweet sound of your voice. So you can make your life count in any one of those ways, some combination, or, try them on. Every now and then, a few at a time, a day at a time, and just see how your own life changes, okay? Now, my husband and I just got back home from a very long trip. And if you're like me, it's always very exciting before you leave, right? You're just making all those plans and you're getting just pumped up. And can I tell you something? It's also very, very exciting when you return. I mean, when I come home, especially after a long trip, the first thing I think of is a nice warm shower, right? Or a nice warm soak in my tub. And then just lounging in my own bed with fresh linens in my own room, in my own house. Now, I love to travel, don't get me wrong, but when you've been on the road a long time, like I sometimes am, can I just tell you something? Sleeping on your own fresh pillow makes a huge difference. Now, we can all make a difference, right? It's so simple. Now, what do I mean by that? Sometimes people ask me, or they say to me, I just feel like I'm this little old person. Just, one person in the whole planet. I mean, there are, 7.5 billion people on the planet, right? But they ask me, how can I possibly make a difference? I'm just one single, individual. Well, let me tell you something. You can make a difference simply by being grateful. That's right. Simply by being grateful for who you are. And being grateful for whose you are. You can make a difference by making sure that you live your purpose by giving your gifts. Giving your gifts to the world. Today, I want to share with you about some people I know who live their purpose. People who give their God-given gifts to the world. Now, these people are very near and dear to my heart. These are my people, my peeps, right? They're all part of my community of practice in my work. So what is my work? Great question. Well, if you're new to my show, or if you haven't heard me speak directly about my work before, my work, my ministry, is all about leadership. So today, I specifically want to talk with you about love and leadership. That's right, love and leadership. Now, these two things don't always go together, do they? But that's what I'd like to share with you today. And I've invited a very special guest to join me to talk about this important topic. And that person is John Burgess. Now, before we delve into today's show, which is all about love and leadership, let me remind you about a few things. You can learn more about this show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count, by visiting the Gloria Burgess website. That's right, the Gloria Burgess website. That's GloriaBurgess.com. That's the Gloria Burgess website, GloriaBurgess.com, or by visiting Facebook. And you can find me at facebook.com/DR for Doctor, DrGloriaBurgess /. Okay, that's my Facebook. Again, it's facebook.com/DR for Doctor, DrGloriaBurgess /. Okay. Now, today, my guest and I would like to share a bit with you about love and leadership. And again, my guest today, very special guest, is John Burgess. We're going to share about love and leadership and what this means to us and what it can mean for you. Today, we will look at love and leadership through the lens of our recent trip to the UK, the United Kingdom, where John and I attended a lovely conference that was all about leadership and management and organizations. But this conference had a very special twist to it. Now, it was very intentional about focusing on all of these arenas, leadership, management, and organizations, looking through the lens of the arts. The arts, not the arts in an abstract kind of way. Now, you might be wondering, arts and leadership and management and organizations, like how do they go together? Well, let me tell you, the focus of this conference was how the arts can actually enhance something like teamwork, right? Or how the art of movement or music or dance or sculpture or the art of painting or poetry, storytelling, theater, and design can actually add value, significant values to leaders and their organizations. I mean, imagine that. Can you imagine productivity in your organization actually improving because of the arts? Can you imagine performance reaching new heights because of the arts? Listen in, okay? Now, for those of you who listen regularly, you've heard me talk a little bit about the arts on this show. Okay, maybe not just a little bit. You know how much I love the arts, right? You've also heard me talk a lot about leadership, right? And what I really get jazzed about is when I talk about them together, leadership and the arts. Why? Because for me, sharing about leadership in the arts is the same thing as sharing about love and leadership, which is, of course, what today's show is all about. So before we jump into today's show, let me introduce you to the person who will be joining me today. In fact, John Burgess, John is my husband, friend, business partner, life partner, and soulmate. Rather than actually introducing him, I'm going to ask him to introduce himself. We've known each other for a long, long time, more than, 4 decades. Now, that's a long, long time. So, John, could you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But before I do, I want to say thank you, Gloria, for having me on your show today. It's a real pleasure to be a guest, and it's really quite special in my opinion, and a real treat to join you today. So, a little bit about me. As you mentioned, Gloria, I met you many years ago. In fact, I actually remember the very first time we met. I don't know if you remember this. We were both in the band at our high school, and that's where we met, in high school, in the band room. And that sure brings up a lot of fond memories, doesn't it? You know, we both share a love of music, dance, and leadership. So it's really wonderful to be able to share some of the highlights from our recent leadership conference, to share them with each other and with your listeners.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much, John. Well, let's set the stage for our listeners to give them a little bit of context. Now, we attended the conference as a way to invest in our own professional development and to serve as leaders during the conference. Now, as entrepreneurs, John and I have both led our own businesses for a number of years. After 30 years as CEO of his own company, John just recently sold his business. So he has a lot of long experience, long legs, as we like to say, in the business world and certainly as one of the top leaders in an organization. John, can you say a little bit about that for our listeners?
Sure, thank you. That's right. It was a great 30 years, and I feel really blessed because I was able to sell my business to one of my longtime associates. It feels really great to know that something that I built and poured my heart and soul into remains in good hands.
I bet. I really know that feeling because I've lived with you for 30 years and I lived with you through that sale. So I know it's good to have your business that you poured your just sweat equity into. And now you can enjoy a new season of your life. And what a season it is. Yeah. We are so blessed to be working together as leaders and with leaders. Together, we are equipping them and their teams, leaders and their organizations to reach their highest potential and new heights of performance. Our ministry is to make a difference by transforming teams and transforming organizations, and we do that by transforming people, one leader, one person, one leader, one team, one organization at a time.
Right.
We are in seventh heaven when we can infuse the arts and integrate them into our work, into our ministry.
Yes, Gloria, that's what I truly love about our work. As I mentioned earlier, we met each other through music. At that time, I played bassoon and piano. I also sang in our high school choir, and I was even conducting